So everyone have 15 minutes for the presentation, and questions will be directly after for 5 minutes. And if some time will be left, we will have a question session at the end. So the first presenter is Ilona Tamutienė. So please come here. We have her live.
Hello, everybody. So I am going to share my screen, my presentation. So today I'm going to speak about challenges in continuity of care for postpartum women and children, insights from a study in Lithuania. So if you know, the problem is that postpartum period is a critical period in women's life, marked by various physical and mental health challenges, and not a critical period for woman or mother, new mother, but also for a child. And some systematic reviews gave some evidence that postpartum women experience higher rates of low back pain, hemorrhoids, fatigue, headache, constipation, etc., and as well as many mental health problems like psychosis, or most commonly postpartum depression. And postpartum depression has quite big rate. For example, one study from 33 studies, systematic review, pointed out that postpartum depression is from 5 to 26%. It depends on the country, but COVID increased these rates, and after COVID, we now studies indicates that postpartum depression is from 12 to 44%. So it's very high rates. So and assistance for these physical and mental health problems is essential, as unresolved condition can impact maternal health and child care behaviors. I came not from medical science perspective, but my research is focused mostly on child protection and welfare. So I'm coming to this team on postpartum care continuity from child welfare studies, and continuity of postpartum care is inseparable from child nurturing care. And like I circle here neonatal period. So the nurturing care conception looks at the mother's care as an essential tool for strengthening child development, and postpartum care prevent child maltreatment, and we should research this part. So continuity of care is related to nurturing care, as it is one part of it. So we have nurturing care of the child, and we have to care about mother, to build caregiver capabilities, supportive services, empowered communities and policies is very important. So, and a few words about prenatal and postpartum care in Lithuania. So in Lithuania, pregnant women receive 3 levels of prenatal care. And in primary level, responsibility for this care lies on family doctors, gynecologists, and midwife, who assess risk factors and, if necessary, organize medical assistance. So if no risk factors are identified, so mostly 4 or 5 visits during pregnancy is provided. But if some risk factors, so it's according to health status of pregnant women, so it could be more visits. So most women give birth in hospital in Lithuania, but home birth assistance is also possible if no delivery risk identified. So in a typical case, mothers are recommended to have a checkup with a gynecologist 6 weeks after giving birth. Only one, it's provided and paid from sickness fund. And after birth of child, one home visit is provided. It could be family doctor or midwife or pediatrician could come to home, to family and visit once. It's provided only one visit. So, and my studies aim to identify the challenges and perspectives related to continuity of care for postpartum women in Lithuania. Research is a component of two projects. One, it was a research project, what support and services are available for pregnant women and children under 2 years of age. And another one, adoption of and training of nurses family partnership, where I have to evaluate family visiting pilot study which implement Health Science University and was Hygiene Institute and Ministry of Health. So, and I would like to acknowledge, thanks to Vaida and Auklytė and home visiting specialist and Gabija Butytė, they did some technical work and helped me. So, in my study, I used theoretical model of continuity of care, and which includes relational continuity, informational, and management. So, this model adopted from Haggerty and Eikemo. So, relational is therapeutical relationship with specialist which persisted during pregnancy and after. Informational, the use of information on past event and personal circumstances to make care current and appropriate, and management, the extent to which service delivered by different providers are timely and complementary, such that care is experienced as connected and coherent and responsive to a woman's changing needs. And this continuity of care could be evaluated from recipient or provider perspective. So in my presentation, I only use data from recipient perspective. Data came from semi-structured interview, qualitative interviews. Its participant of the studies is 19 informants, 9 women who do not receive pilot home visiting project services, and 10 women came from pilot project. So maybe I skip a little bit. So research participant, out of 19, 9 were not engaged in the pilot home visiting project, while 10 were. Among mothers, their age ranged from 16 to 39. So 7 were from rural, the rest from cities. I applied directed content analysis. That means that I use this model like I show, and one looked at the results. So these 3 relational, informational, and management continuity guided my content results. So the first one, results, relation and continuity, main findings, it's like my subcategories, which evolved from the study. So maternal physical health care experience during pregnancy cease upon leaving the maternity hospital. So in general in Lithuania, we have quite good care during pregnancy, but when mother with child come home, so if no pilot project, no NGOs care, so nothing may be left. So provided by legal act, single postpartum maternal health assessment is not tied to the same specialist. Mothers view such continuity favorably. Pregnant women who received care from non-governmental organizations and crisis centers experienced relation and continuity during postpartum period and assessed it positively. Pregnant women who established a connection with the social worker during pregnancy maintain it through the postpartum period. It's very important, this aspect. Relationship formed during pregnancy care and the associated trust persist into the postpartum period. If no trust, so no relation continuity. So, and relation continuity negatively impacts narrow funding schemes and their fear of vulnerable mothers to disclose problems which pose a risk to child protection intervention. So maybe as they fear their children may be separated. So it's we have to research more on this, but it's evolved from studies from the vulnerable mothers with children. And there, I don't know if you can see, but I have two very opposite quotation from experiences, one without relational continuity and another one with relational continuity. So, and data speaks by themselves. For example, one woman, she was single with a baby, and like she said, in fact, I read extensively. Furthermore, I had a keen interest. I watched numerous videos and consulted many friends to determine the best approach. What had the most significant impact on me was when I encountered the issue. There was also a situation where I experienced difficulties with breastfeeding. My breast became engorged with milk. The baby hadn't consumed much yet, and they became as hard as a rock. Furthermore, it was painful, unbearable pain, to be precise. When I confronted this issue, I immediately began making phone calls and I reached out to everyone seeking guidance because I was clueless. It was evening, the baby was crying, so the suggestion came to use cabbage leaves. That's when I started exploring these more traditional methods. So it's one experience from one young woman. And on another side, it's very opposite experiences is from mom. She has home visiting specialists during pregnancy and after, during postpartum period. So she, for example, home visiting specialist was immensely helpful at the start of breastfeeding. She consistently, attentively, and patiently guided me to make breastfeeding as clear as less painful as possible. Step by step, she provided clear verbal instruction, then demonstrated how to breastfeed correctly, what mistake to avoid. She explained in detail how to breastfeed, how to latch correctly, and showed properly baby holding position to prevent nipple pain and other discomforts. So, and she always, and the home visiting specialist always was available when problem persists. So very difficult and very opposite experiences of two mothers with newborns. Informational continuity. Also emerge some subcategories. One very important research outcome that informational continuity is enhanced by a prior relational connection. If it's for mothers, was very important. During pregnancy, women have a clear medical care system. After leaving the maternity hospital, women are unsure where to turn if problems arise with breastfeeding, breast tissue bleeding, or other health problem. So, educational sessions are planned during pregnancy. Women returning from maternity care facilities and facing real-life situation feel a lack of information and support. Good practices include an informational booklets containing essential guidance on whom to contact for special issues, and some municipalities provide. Women who receive home visit viewed the information provided by visiting specialists in a positive light. It is important that specialists are accessible when an information gap arises. So during the postpartum period, the absence of direct qualified information from specialists, online resources become significant. And it is important that specialists are aware of any convey information about assistance from other institutions, as women are not always directed to resources such as emotional or financial support from NGOs. And also prepare some quotation, experience without informational continuity and experience with informational continuity. So, for example, without it would have been easier if mothers knew where to turn to after giving birth, because there's definitely a lack of information about where you can go. Or truly, there is simply lack of information, and the busy schedules of family doctors make it very challenging to obtain the necessary information. So it was difficult to get in touch with the family doctor who have genuinely very busy and simply didn't have the time for a proper consultation and adequate advice. Example. And the situation where family visiting specialist give service, so is opposite. Discussing their child, their development, and the concern with the specialist was very helpful. I liked the fact that I could simply send a message via Facebook or Messenger and receive a prompt response. She is undoubtedly competent and can address any question that may arise. I received support whatever question arose. I could always reach out and ask if I was doing everything right, even at any time, including weekends. So you see how it's different experience women. Now, management continuity. So subcategories, so timeless of service is hampered by systematic gaps because we have very good care, not very good, quite good care during pregnancy, but after pregnancy, we have no finance from sickness fund, only one visit, and for mothers that ends, so it's systematic gap. Sectors work separately. I mean health and social services and or NGOs. Family doctor or midwife could do one visit after mother's child comes home from maternity hospital, but in practice there are situations where neither one nor the other attends. For example, from 9 mothers, only one told that she was visited at home. So theoretically, family doctor, pediatrician or midwife could come, but nobody comes, or sometimes one of them. So in the postpartum period, a family visiting specialist is a person who coordinates the health care of mother and child, whose role is positively evaluated. Such a service should be provided as universal, in my opinion, and in the opinion of mothers. The care of mothers who are affected by violence, poverty, homeless, or loneliness in the postpartum period must be greatly strengthened, because in this vulnerable situation, it's really very hard for women and children. But in this context, the role of the crisis pregnancy center and crisis centers and social workers becomes apparent. And experience of the research participants highlights the care of the crisis pregnancy center when the center becomes an integration of emotional, social, legal, and other support. I found this very, very good strengths, and we have to support the centers. So, therefore, it is recommended to expand the services, providing the financing of such services from the budget, because they're short of money and could provide services not for everybody who needs. Also, some experience without management continuity. For example, one woman, she experienced violence, and he had beaten me, and then I went to X outpatient clinic, and all turned upside down, all frightened. I asked if it was possible for me to see my family doctor so that she could, record this health issue. Then at the registration desk, they told me, you have to go to X place. There is a special center where they will receive you, examine you, and forensic doctor will document it. But at the time, my condition was such that I didn't want to go anywhere or look for that X place. They didn't stop me or lead me to any specialist. I came asked, and they said no. So I left wandering further down the street. They should have instruction on what to do with someone like me. In this case, I was with newborn. They should have instruction. So and with management continuity. So, and now I really feel good because I know that I am feeling unwell. I can turn to crisis pregnancy center. It's So women who experience, or another one, I experienced significant less stress as the specialist provided reliable and professional information. I didn't need to bother my doctor or go to emergency care unit, etc. So women were evaluated very positively. So limitations, that is qualitative research, and maybe I skip because short of time. And my main conclusion during the postpartum period, it is imperative to strengthen both the healthcare and social support for mothers. When developing a care system, it is crucial to consider factors that ensure the continuity of care. Such factors would include the universal implementation of family visiting specialist service and the expansion of service offered by crisis pregnancy centers, particularly for vulnerable mothers. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Can you stop share? Thank you very much for such an update presentation. As please leave for some questions. Now, last year, so we had some tragedies, and the focus to maternal psychological health just started. Do we have questions from the auditorium to present?
I have just one comment.
Please.
Can I? First of all, thank you very much for this study because it's really very topical. You know probably about very awful recent case in Latvia when woman in depression went away from the home with small baby, and this baby was found in the rental car, already died. And maybe I don't know last news, but this woman is not found yet. But it is awful illustration about the problem because this woman was in depression, and the result is awful, really. Really this period is very important, and thank you once more for your research, because it's really very important. We maybe don't perceive this period as such important, but such tragedies show that really it's needed. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, we had also similar tragedies that women killed their children, small children, this year. And my question would be, how often do you recommend that specialists would come home? How often should we visit, that these visitations would be effective and bring relaxation to women?
I think that in the very beginning, first weeks, it's crucial to have some specialists available. And I think until 6 months, they could come, maybe, I don't know. It depends on the situation, if it is single mother or some health condition or informal support or not. So if they are without support and with bad health conditions, of more often, but twice a month.
And in your pilot study, how often specialists visited? Do you know?
I think twice per week in the very beginning, and they visit until 2 years. But I know from others that after 6 months they could be less visits. They don't need so often visits. But in the very beginning, when they have to learn how to breastfeeding, everything, so they need
much more
support.
Okay, thank you. Yes, we have a question from Maria. Yeah, please.
Yes, thank you. A very interesting presentation and project. Also in Italy, it's interesting to note that during the last year we have such bad cases of women that fall into postpartum. Maybe it's connected to the consequence of the pandemic, but this is all a reflection. My question instead was relating on the role of fathers. I was wondering if fathers are in some way included in this project. So if there is also an action on the couple relationship in order to, I don't know, make fathers more present and more aware of the health and mental stability of the mother.
So they are going, thank you very much. They are going ongoing discussion about the role of father and how to involve in this all processes, especially in the prevention of depression, how to recognize depression. But the experiences from family visiting specialists, from midwives, is when they visit families, in majority cases, fathers are at work and they work actually with women and children when they're visiting. But we're discussing how to involve fathers in this process, because in recognizing especially mental health issues, it's crucial role of fathers, of other family members. So,
do we have a question from auditorium? Okay, then thank you.
Thank you.
And, I would like to invite the second presenter, Vilma Ražauskienė from Social Research Institute. Will you sit or do you want to stand? Yeah. Then we just turn camera and share the slide. Just a minute. Yeah. No.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and we'll share the slides. Wait a minute.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Kitą pusę gal. Ne. O, ačiū jūs. Ai, va, persijungi kitą. Hey. So, hello everyone. I'm very pleased to be here and to see you here and see the familiar faces. My name is Vilma and I am a third-year PhD student from Lithuanian Center for Social Sciences. And today I'm going to talk about parenthood, gender roles, and the attitudes towards them. So, first of all, I'm going to explain a little bit why I got interested into this topic. Then I'm going to explain the aim of my research and what is this traditionalizing effect. What is a little bit explanation, well, or a reminder what we mean by saying what is traditional and egalitarian gender roles. And some intricacies and challenges in measuring them. Then I'm going to present my methodology of my research. And finally, we're going to find out the results. So first of all, when I was studying when I was doing master studies in social policy, and specifically, I was interested in family policy, I did a survey where almost 700 people took part in it, and one question was regarding the non-transferable parental leave to fathers, almost about 300 women answered the question regarding non-transferable parental leave to fathers, and majority was in favor of them, of this new policy. At that time, it was 2021, so the policy was not in law at the time. It went into law only in the beginning of this year. So the majority of 20 to 39-year-old women, the respondents in my survey, were in favor of this new policy. But I was playing and practicing my statistical analysis skills and wanted to see, well, this is very commonly done, to see what different groups of respondents would think. And I took that question, and it was a little counterintuitive that women, the childless women, in fact, supported this new law more than the women with children. And it is counterintuitive because, well, we would expect that women with children, they are in need of support and help. So why is it the case? During my master's studies, I couldn't do anything. I didn't do anything with it. But later, well, I just got interested in it. And now I got further in it. And there might be two possible explanations. And the first one is some researchers say that, well, the behavioral changes come only after the changes in the attitudes comes. So, and actually, this quotation is from the last year social policy conference. Mazzucchelli was presenting it, and she presented that only 7% of women and 4% of men in Lithuania actually agree with the statement that parental leave should be allocated equally to both parents. So essentially, maybe women with children just tend to be more traditional in their gender role attitudes. On the other hand, there are, as I found out later, there are some researchers that found out in their research that people tend to support or become more traditional in their gender role attitudes after transition to parenthood. And it was also observed even the group of more egalitarian people. So what is the traditional and egalitarian gender roles? So just a quick reminder probably that we suppose that traditional gender roles are when women look after the home and look after the children and are the main carers of children, and while their husbands would go out and then go out to work and maintain the family financially. And social scientists would be interested what societies are more traditional, what societies are more egalitarian, and what maybe groups of people are more traditional and what egalitarian. And probably three aspects are measured mostly. So it's how the housework duties are divided between the partners, how the childcare is divided, and women's participation in the labor market, so work. And there's some problems or issues or challenges how to measure the attitudes. And here I provided few questions from questionnaires, how scientists would evaluate the attitudes. So first of all, one question in the questionnaire would be, mothers who do not really need the money should not work. And you would, and the respondent should say yes, no, well, agree or disagree. So the question arises, what mother does not really need the money? Do you know of one? So it is a question. Another one would be in the questionnaire. if both partners in a couple work, they should share equally in the housework and care of children. Fair enough. Probably everyone would agree. Some people would disagree. But for instance, in my research, I had a woman whose husband worked as a long-distance driver, and he would go to work for 2 or 3 weeks straight. So she was not there sitting comfortably on a couch and waiting for the husband to come to return and do the dishes, right? So even if she worked, how would they be able to share the housework duties and childcare equally? So it also depends on the circumstances the family is. And the last one is also interesting. A working mother can establish just as good a relationship with her children as a mother who does not work for pay. Fair enough, but some people would agree, some people would disagree. But a question here also arises: if a woman works, a mother works for 2 or 3 hours a day, she would be considered a working mom, right? And so working hours also make a difference in our decisions. And in those questions, it is not specified. So surely enough, I'm not the only one who spotted those differences and challenges in measuring the attitudes. And for example, Walter concludes that most items that have been measured, those exact examples that I showed, are phrased in general form and, for example, do not specify parents' employment or the ages of the children. So in my research, what I did, I took, and I'm taking here only a part of my research. I took one question regarding the childcare and divided the question into 3 parts according to the ages of the children. So the question was, who in your opinion should be considered to be the primary carer of the child? Is it the mother, the father, or both parents equally? And it was regarding an infant or a toddler from 1 year to 3 years old, and a child of 4 years old and older. So this is my research participants. I will not probably go into details, but they varied in their characteristics and ages, and even children they're born. One got twins, so it was really nice. It was just to have different research participants. So, and the results, a part of the results I've got. So 5 research participants changed their opinion regarding who should be the primary carer of an infant after they became mothers themselves. So it means that at first they actually indicated, so I did mention, it was longitudinal research. So I did interviews, 10 interviews with each when they were pregnant and after they when they gave birth to their children, so a few months after the childbirth. So, and at first, those five who changed their opinion, they indicated in their interviews and in the questionnaire, I did a little questions to answer. So they indicated that they are actually very egalitarian, and they think that even a newborn and a baby from up to 1 year old the childcare of such a young child should be divided equally among them and their husbands. But after they became mothers themselves, they changed their opinion. And regarding the age from a child age from 1 to 3 years old, there was one such participant who changed her opinion. And regarding older children from 4 and older, none of them changed. All of them said that the childcare should be divided equally among the partners. So, and I'm not also, so I should note that I'm not implying any statistical data, any percentages about the general population and anything like that. But as it is a qualitative study, it might show some tendencies, right? So we want to explore further. And it also might show that the traditionalizing effect is happening. It might happen actually after the transition to parenthood, but it doesn't mean that women who change their opinions after becoming mothers would just suddenly want to become housewives for the rest of their lives. It actually shows, when we divide the question into according to the ages of the children, we might see that, well, mothers probably want to leave their work for a year or two. So it depends on the person, and later they might come to work, and we would consider their views egalitarian. But just for the short period of time, they would tend to be more traditional in their gender role attitude. So, as it is qualitative research, here I was interviewing the women and going deeper into their understanding why they changed their opinions. So one explanation that I've got is maybe it has to do something with the salience of mother. The new identity as a mother maybe becomes like more important to them than their other roles. So it might be one possible explanation that I've got from the research participants. And for example, that the child is the center of our lives now, and she refers both to her and her husband. But she would take, like, for example, Tiffany, but she would take care of the child more than the husband. But still, she considered that both of them are, or the child is the center of their lives, of both of them, of both partners. So, and here, well, there's tendency to give recommendations, and surely enough, it's very useful. I'm probably not doing any. Just want to probably raise questions and have a little discussion if possible. What do you think? What I don't know. Some comments you have, what that I might look into later on. And yeah, equality is about equality of opportunities, that we provide opportunities and resources for all. But equity would be that we provide more resources for the people who would need the resources more than the others. But my research also shows probably some tendency that there is a group of people who maybe doesn't like football and doesn't need those resources, and just go out and do some other stuff for a time being, for a period of time. I don't know. So
thank you very much, Vilma. So do we have questions online and here in the auditorium?
I have, can I?
Yeah. Should I first ask, or?
Okay, just a little bit wait, Vera. We have one question in auditorium.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. I have a question. Okay, if I understand, it's a kind of a small pilot investigation that you are making here. First, do you plan to continue following up your respondents? Because, as you mentioned, you asked the second round of questions was just a couple of months after the birth, and if a woman is breastfeeding, so there are just biological processes, hormones kicking in and so on, so maybe this effect could fade out completely after a while when you stop breastfeeding and so on. So do you plan to follow up on that?
Yes, I already started the third wave, and hopefully all of them would agree to participate further. And I did, up now I did 1/3 interview with
But also it would be interesting to roll it out to some maybe more quantitative analysis, so that you could really look at the effects. Quantitative, yes, and
Actually,
look into in a more long term and on the bigger samples. And also, is it just really an effect of giving a childbirth, or maybe it's just an age effect, as we know that people become more conservative with age. So for sure, this is a very small time spent. But anyway, it would be interesting to
regarding the age, in my research, there was two a little bit older participants, because it was first child. One was 41 and the other one was 44. And one became more traditional, and the other stayed hold her egalitarian views. So it doesn't depend on age. I don't know what it does to depend on really, but it just means that people are different, I think. I don't know. And then on the quantitative, I also was interested to see more than not really tendencies, but to investigate it further. And I started a quantitative survey with and the first wave questionnaire, 125 women filled it out, but to get them to fill it, the second one, to participate in the second wave, it's a bit harder. So only 40 women participated, but it also shows the traditionalizing effect. It does show. I didn't present those results here because it's not yet finished, but I do investigate it further.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, please, Vera, you can provide your question.
Just small question. What would be your own answer to the question about the duties, egalitarian or more traditional? Who has to be the primary care of a child at the first year of the life? And why do you think so?
Only my personal understanding, my opinion.
Your own opinion. Your own opinion to this question.
Regarding the child up to 1 year old?
Yes. Exactly.
Like for me personally, yes, I am a mother of two beautiful boys, and it is an intrinsic part. Well, motherhood is an intrinsic part of mine, but also it depends on. It really depends. Like for example, at the moment I have a boy of 1 year old, and I'm here. So, and my husband, I also count how many hours he, participate in childcare, and I show him, I do more hours than you, so please take care also and engage. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. My question would be added to this one, because I often hear that if you have breastfeeding, that automatically you have to stand up at night, and husbands move to another room, so we are not responsible at all because it's your biological fate and we know that lack of sleep downgrades psychological health a lot. So, for example, you asked your participants, and there were some quotes about breastfeeding, and that she also stand up at night. Have you offered any kind of your experience, or have you asked them, do they need or do they imagine some kind of sharing child care, even if they breastfeed?
Yeah, so breastfeeding, it is probably the main factor that influenced the change, because some women were like really longing for their work. And one was musician and longed for her concerts, but she really wanted to breastfeed. And she had twins, and she had a lot of problems, and she was like really stressed out. And but another one didn't breastfeed. One of the 10 research participants, she breastfed for 1 month. She wanted to continue, but somehow she couldn't. She had problems and she couldn't. And actually she had the problems with identity, problems of establishing identity of a mother. So she would, her husband would engage really very much in the childcare, and he would say well, I'll be with the baby, you go out and do whatever you want. And she said, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know, what shall I go to the club, to the gym, or, well, and she said I could, but for an hour. And then she wanted to go back and to take care of the child, or they would be taking care of the child together and would be engaging together.
So it's okay or bad? I don't know.
If it's okay for the people, it's okay.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Because I hear always that we have to choose either this or either another way, but these combinations are often not explored. What kinds of activities you can combine, when you can rest, when you can, for example, come back to yourself and so on. So my question was about
that is also the question I'm raising also. What is now fashionable to say? It is on spectrum, right? It is not the traditional or egalitarian. It is it depends on the circumstances. It depends on the person. It depends on working hours. It depends whether you breastfeed. And I just think that, we have to provide opportunities for people, but not to force them for the same outcomes to have.
Okay, do we have a quick question, or we can move on? Yep. Thank you very much, Vilma. Now we have presenters from online. And I'm inviting Maria Letizia Bosoni of colleagues Sara Mazzucchelli, Matteo Moscatelli, and Elisabetta Carrà from Catholic University of Milan. Please, Maria, share your slides, and we are listening to your presentation.
Can you see my slide?
Yes.
Okay.
Hearing you well and seeing slides.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So I start. First women, but this time first man in this presentation. And so good afternoon. Our speech and our presentation is about the importance to assume a family perspective in policies and practices, in particular the impact of policies in respect to the family well-being. And to do this, we use the family impact analysis, that is a process of assessment, design, and implementation of policies and practices that allow a dialogue between the policymaker, the professionals, and the researcher, with the aim of finding if the interventions and the policies are able to impact on the different living conditions of families. And our contribution will present the family impact lens, that is a model developed in the use and after some research. So I start saying something about why it's important to pay attention to the family when we realize some social services, because we know that the effect of them have an impact both on the individual and also on the family relationship of which individuals are part. So we have to use this systemic logic, and also because the well-being of these beneficiaries are mediated by the other family members. So the family well-being is strictly related to the individual well-being. And that's why family-centered approaches are more effective, because they involve family members and they can detect the impact on the social relationship and this complex system that are the family dynamics and the family relationship. And so on the next slide is about the model that we use in the research, that is born in the 80s at the Purdue University by Boge Schneider and other colleagues. And there is a rationale with some guidelines, with tools in order to achieve these family impactless, that is a sociological imagination that look on the family relationship, and is an evidence-based approach that correlate the family well-being to individual well-being using empirical data coming from many research and many projects that have demonstrated this link between the two kinds of well-being. It's not only used for evaluation, but also for design project. The impact lens. The impact lens is about 5 main principles that are the family responsibility first, that it's related to enhancing and empowering the function of families rather than assuming a replacement of the family role. Obviously, it's important where there are very fragile situation, disabled family members or dependent situation, to have realistic expectation on this responsibility of families, but it's always important to empower the family function. Then there is the family stability that is related to gave support to the changes during the transition of the family life cycle. And to promote this principle is to adopt a preventive strategy, avoiding crises and chronic situations that can threaten the family structure and functioning. Then there is the principle of family relationship that is related to the skills, the competencies, the abilities of family members, for example, communication skills, conflict management, problem solving and decision making. And it's about promoting these relationship and these skills. Then there is the important principle of family diversity that say that policy and intervention can have different effect on different type of families. And so we have not to create standard intervention because they can create inequality, but we always have to personalize and familiarize the intervention because there are different culture, different geographic location, different religion, socioeconomic status, different family configuration, and it's important to have a tailor-made approach on the single, specific, and unique family configuration. Last but not least, there are 2 other principles. One is about the involvement and participation of the families. For example, including families in the evaluation of the programs, in the designing of the project, and promoting network among families. And finally, the principle of promoting family relationship, family network. It's about the integration of family association, for example, in the policies, in the intervention, and in the services, in order to promote a network partnership at the territorial level between individuals and families. So now I give the word to the other colleague about the project and the case studies that we have made using this approach. Thank you.
Okay, now we want to briefly present some application of the original model that we have done in the Italian context. We will present a couple of examples. I will present the first and then I will give the floor to my colleague Sara Mazzucchelli with the second. The first project, the family impact lens has been used on the evaluation on this project on family centers for families that has been improved in the Lombardy region. The Lombardy region is region, a big region in the north of Italy, and the family centers has been improved for the first time in 2020 on a biennial experience. This was an experimental law supporting this the introduction of these family centers, and our evaluation is based on 4 family centers that has been implemented in 4 different zones of the Lombardy regions. What are family centers? They have been created with the aim to create an integrated network of social services for families in the local community. And this is very important. They are based on a social partnership. This was a requirement from the law. So they required a formal collaboration between different social actors, third sector, but also public social services. For this reason, these centers that are different from, for example, family consulting services, or we also have these community houses. These family centers are considered as strategic in answering the diversity of family needs. And they provided actions related to 3 main aspects: providing information and guidance for families in order to foster an easy and direct access to social services, then strengthening the parental skills with specific action, training and groups for families with children. And finally, listening and supporting the involvement and the interaction with other families, so promoting a culture of participation and solidarity between families. In this context, our research was aimed to evaluate the impact on families of these family centers. So we have applied the family impact lens in order to grasp how these family centers impact on family well-being. From the methodological point of view, we have done a focus group online, 1 focus group in each of the 4 family centers in the summer of 2022. So at the end of the experimentation, for a total of 33 participants, and the participants in each focus group were the different social actors included in the partnership. So participants from family consulting, participants from the third sector, but also from public institutions. This is the auto-evaluation according to the principle of family impact lens. Here in this project, we have used 5 of the 6 principles. So this family impact analysis was limited to the first 5 principles. And the participants provided an evaluation of the project according to each principle from a scale that ranged to 1 from 5 points. In the last column, you see the general average here, and you can see that the average is quite good in general, so it's over 3, and this show us that these services provided a personalized responses to the different needs of family, and not under standardized logic. The lowest score is the lowest scores are on the principle of responsibilities and on the involvement of family, and the highest score is on the diversity of family. So in conclusion, we can see that there is a great attention to the diversity of family, the principle 4 with the highest score. And this principle was considered as the ability to intercept different type of families, different needs of family, not only families marked by fragility, but also normal families. Then good results also concern the ability to read the multidimensionality of family needs, so the principle 3, and they improved different groups and training groups for supporting interpersonal skills, communication skill, and stress and conflict resolution strategies. Finally, the impact of this project on family responsibility, the principle 1, appears the weakest point, and also in association with the ability to activate the families in this area, the principle 5. We can see that action regarding the activation of family and the promotion of their responsibility require probably a long time, which are not permitted in a short time project as this. And in addition, we have also to mention it that this project was limited by the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, and for example, some activities with direct contact with families was not possible and was arranged online. Now I give the floor to Sara Mazzucchelli with another short example of application.
Yes, thank you. This application is linked to an analysis of Italian legislation on leave taking, and we can say that concerning the issue of care, our country can count on a consolidated legislation that, starting from a specific focus on maternity and the protection of women's and children's health in 1971, has gradually expanded to include the involvement of parental couple in 2000 and the enhancement of the father figure. And here is a list of the laws involved from 1971 to 2014, the year in which, with the Jobs Act, significant novelties and changes were introduced to legislative leave system. And here in this slide, you can see the main features of this law. So over time, the next slide, over time regulatory changes and addiction has been made mainly through financial laws, and this list, the last law of 2023, and but now we try briefly to present the results of a preliminary analysis through the families model. And starting from an analysis of policies from a structural and cultural points of view. So structural, taking into consideration resources, norms and relations, and cultural point of view, so taking into consideration objective and the culture of the law. A feminist grid is applied, this one, which defines and evaluates the concrete attention to the family by the intervention under investigation. And finally, we attempt to understand whether and how the intervention responds to the principle of family impact. So we can see the results in the next slide. So the main results are those. So the existing levels of our legislation are leave, bonuses and vouchers, flexibility, tax breaks and deduction and services. And from a structural point of view, we can see an increasing attention to difficult situation, but also a tentative of bureaucratic simplification. While from a cultural point of view, the situation is more complex because there is an attempt to shift from an individual to family perspective. And also the policy moves toward greater gender equality and to the involvement of fathers in cares and try to facilitate work for mothers. However, the underlying culture of care is not clear. For example, the issue of voucher is not consistent with the leave system. And so the short male breadwinner model still exists in the care culture of Italians and also in the company perspective. The involvement of fathers in paternity leave has not yet to a cultural change in care because the centrality of women to domestic and care work is confirmed, as well as their scarce present in the labor market compared with the majority of other EU countries. And finally, existing data are scarce and not up to date, so it is difficult to confirm what the impact is in concrete terms. So to conclude, next slide. The application of the family needs grid shows a progressive focus on the family dimension that is not connotated at the medium-high level, because we can surely see an attention to the principle of family responsibility and to the principle of diversity of families, a tentative to consider family stability and family relationship, but some difficulties in taking into consideration a real involvement of families. So, to conclude our presentation, what we are doing now, so this multi-phase project is moving toward different directions. So we are adapting the framework of family impact lens, creating checklists for different contexts, for example, family mediation, child protection services, elderly home care, and family work balance policy in companies. So thank you for your attention and passion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentations. Do we have questions? Yes. Okay.
Thank you so much for a really interesting presentation, very illuminating, and thank you to all three speakers. I just wanted to ask a question, I suppose, about in the context of the Italian birth rate, the extent to which some of these policies are motivated by concerns around the low birth rate in Italy, which I understand is a concern. I'm not suggesting it should be. I'm not suggesting that people should be expected to have lots of children, but I know that there are concerns around the birth rate and the impact that may have, in particular, with labour shortages and an ageing population in the future. So I wonder to what extent some of these policies are motivated by that, or if they're genuinely directed at supporting families. If you understand the question.
Are you asking if policies are more related to the family in general, or on specific target and specific problems? Did I understand well?
Well, yeah, sorry for the question is awkward on my part. I was just wondering to what extent issues around birth rate are motivating politicians in relation to policy.
Yeah, so the low birth rate. We didn't have so many family policies so related to the whole family. We have and we are doing specific intervention for specific problem, and the low birth rate is one of these target. I think that so the state is doing intervention on families and in particular on mothers, but also strengthening the collaboration of father in order that family can have more children or more than one children, because the problem is that the majority of family has only one child, so we are under the reproduction rate. The state is improving policies, but they are more related on leaves, supporting mothers that want to come back to the job, and economic in cash services, so economic support for support economically families. But this is not enough, because birth rates is related to the support to the family during the life cycle. So I think that we need more family policies, and this family impact lens is aimed to assess and to grasp the impact of policies in general on families. So not only related to the supporting mothers, supporting childbirth, and so on, but we need family policies to really support families during the life transitions. I don't know if I answered.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sorry, if I could add something. Our theoretical reflection, that is the relational perspective, could help us to analyze also this topic that is really complex according to a perspective of relationality and complexity, because the risk also for European policies is to reduce the reflection on low birth rate in European countries to the lack of services. Okay, so we have a lot of statisticians that analyze this relationship, low birth rate and lack of services. But analyzing these social phenomenon with the relational perspective, we can, for example, analyze the different role of structural and cultural factors. So there are obviously some cultural factors that are related to the lack of services, but also to a different structure of families, and for example to a phenomenon of young adults, so an older age of adult person, and so an average age at birth rate that is older than in the past. Okay, but also there are a lot of cultural factors, so a culture of care and the culture of work that is a culture inside the family, and also is a culture inside, for example, workplace. So I think that these cultural factors are something that is stronger than structural factors. So it's a very, very complex argument, and we need a complex lens to investigate it.
Thank you very much. As now we face shortage in time, we will maybe come back to questions at the end of the session. And now I want to invite Vera Komarova from Latvia University, and she will present her research on the fertility rate in Latvia. So it correlates with our Italian colleagues' considerations very much. And please, Vera, the floor is yours. Can you unmute yourself? You are muted now. Yes, your microphone. Yes, now. Yes, now we hear you. I think.
Yes, you hear and
yeah,
see.
now we hear you. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for inviting me. I would like to present our interdisciplinary research. You can see here 4 persons in our team. It's one doctor of mathematics, because it will be mathematical analysis here, our Anita Sondore, one classic economist, Edmunds, Cizo, and 2 economists, me and Anita Kokarevica from Rīga Stradinš University, with very big experience in sociological research. That is why we started with our Latvian national population reproduction strategy, which was presented to our public, to our society at the end of last year, and it would like to achieve within the strategy to achieve fertility increase in our country till 177 children on average per woman in 4 years. But what we see now in Latvia, that last year indicator was 157, no, it was 2 years ago. And last year indicator was 147, even lower. And this is not the problem only in Latvia. You can see here from the figures from 2010 and 2020.
Sorry, Vera, do you move with your slides? Because we now see the stable first one.
I move, you cannot see.
No, we don't.
I move.
Okay.
Now not.
Not. Then I can maybe change the slide if you give permission.
Yes.
Waiting for approval to take control. Just share. Now the slides disappeared. Could you share again?
Share again. Can you see?
Yes.
And can you move?
Yes, now we are moving, yeah. Thank you.
Now you see the figures in the countries, yes?
Yes.
You can see the figures from several countries, and even the leader in fertility, Saudi Arabia, also lost its position, and also European countries, and also our Italian colleague told us just some minutes ago that they have lower than reproduction level. So it is not just a Latvian problem. One research question, can you see research question? Yes?
Yes.
Research question,
yes?
Moving. So the research question of this study, if it is possible to increase fertility in Latvia, as creators of this strategy want in this context when everywhere is declining trend. And our famous demographer, Latvian demographer Zane Varpeņa, already called this strategy as mail to Santa Claus. But now we need scientific analysis to scientifically answer this question. And usually we can see in publications, in media publications especially, and even in scientific publications, such linear analysis of fertility trends. For example, we can see that Latvia has a progress in fertility because in 2010 it was 136 children, but 10 years later it was 135. But social processes, they are never developed linearly. That is why this linear analysis is not deep, superficial, and take just some time periods and cannot be perceived as deep analysis and enough for prediction future tendencies, for example. It is why we need mathematical analysis. Why exactly this? Because based on this formalized type of analysis, we can predict at least for some years, not for a long future, but for the near future, we can predict the demographical trends, and including trends of fertility. Another matter that analysis of derivatives can show you subtle trends, which can be not so obvious when we just compare fertility rates between years. And one more matter, we can fix the moments of a trend change, not just when fertility rates change, but when the whole trend reverse from growing to declining, for example, from declining to increasing, etc. And our empirical basis is official statistics for 55 years. You can see the period from 1970 till 2022 year. It's total fertility rate. I just illustrated here how it looks like with figures. Total fertility rate in this medium-term period in Latvia. And we have realized, have applied, used such research methods as approximation, data approximation with a polynomial using the mathematical least squares method. And another method when we identified demographic cycles and predict fertility rate in the near future based on the theory of economic cycles. We received firstly, we received the mathematical model of fertility trend in Latvia during this period under the study. And this is a mathematical formula. It is polynomial of the sixth degree. And one free term, free member, free figure. Without x, it means approximately fertility level at the starting point, at the first year. Why approximately? Because it is approximating model and it explains about 85% of variance of real data. It means it is model of a good quality and we can use this in the further analysis. Because it is polynomial, it means that it has several extrema, minima and maxima, and it means that really this process is not linear and relationships between fertility rates and ordinal year of the period are complex, not linear. Then we calculated the derivatives for identifying trend changes. It's common formula for calculating derivatives for such types of polynomial functions, and we also did some mathematical procedure. We divided the ordinal number of year by 10 because due to avoid the poorly mathematical influence of the value of derivatives. It's applicable, allowable. Our doctor of mathematics allowed us to do this. Then I would like to show you the scheme of economic cycle, which have 4 phases: extension, its growth phase, peak, recession, declining phase, and trough, bottom trough. Because this economic cycle is very similar to cycles of fertility process of demographic cycles. And I will show here our data, but in comparison with the picture of economic cycle, our demographic trend is declining. From the first year to the last year, it's smoothly wavy declining trend. And you can see points, it is statistical data. You can see line, it's approximating function, mathematical model. You can see also formula of this mathematical model and determination index, which show the good quality of this model. And at the first glance, you can see, I will repeat this smoothly declining wavy trend of fertility in Latvia. I will describe in details only first demographic cycle of this trend and last one to see the details and to predict the further situation. As for the first cycle, which was not begin from the first year, because we took just from the 1970s, and we took 10 years from this cycle. 4 years of expansion when the previous growth in fertility was slowing down from 174 in 1965 till 196 in 1973. It's illustration for such a, for a first glance, paradoxical situation when the rates are increasing, but derivatives are decreasing, and it means that the trend is slowing down. It means that fertility rates are still big enough, but speed of change is slowing. It's very such interesting situation which have logical explanation. So at the early 70s, this growth began to slow until it stopped at the 1975. It was peak of fertility in Latvia. It's very interesting for me because I was born on this peak of 2 years, and then it was a short decline, 2 years also, and then it was a trough. It was bottom of a demographic cycle, and then the next cycle follow this one. And now we will have a look on the last cycle to analyze the further situation. So when I started to give birth for my own children at early this century, fertility growth was started and continued during 13 years. It was expansion. So my fertile activity, it's interesting for me, was during, especially during this period of when fertility growth continues, but is slowing.
Could you finalize already? Yeah.
And I finalized at the peak. Now I have 4 children. So at the peak of 2016, I stopped. And then peak, and now we have since 2018, we have recession in Latvia. And now we are in the period of recession. Have I time a couple of minutes yet?
Yeah, 1 minute. Yeah.
1 minute. It will be enough. So the immediate forecast will be such, based on mathematical analysis, the decline will continue in Latvia, and then it will be a trough, and this trough bottom will be lower than previous one because the general trend is declining, and then will be a growth, and the next peak will be lower than creators of our strategy would like to see. So we can conclude that it is not possible to achieve such figures in Latvia in the next future at any conditions, social and political. And a couple of words about determination factors of this low fertility. First of all, they are values, social values. I would like to show you interesting data of comparative longitudinal sociological study of University of Latvia. You can see that 19 years ago, family and children as an intrinsic value was at the 3rd rank. but last year they were at the 22nd rank. No any other value would change its rank so greatly. Also, we have publication from researchers from your Lithuanian Center for Social Research, Valda Tritikova and her colleagues, in our journals, and it was qualitative study of 2 generations of childless women in Lithuania, and they concluded if all the women do not say openly that they didn't want to have children. But young women, they say openly and that they do not want to have children, and they enjoy life without children. So this attention, social attention, is changing now. And also such social, political, economical events as, for example, Gorbachev anti-alcohol campaign, which have very positive influence on fertility rate, or economic crisis, which have very negative influence of this fertility rate. This is just short-term impact, not long-term. And
thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Vera. We are running out of the time, and I cannot give floor for questions. We can now give floor for our last presenter. At the end, we will have 5 to 10 minutes for questions. Okay. So please, Vaida, she's from Vytautas Magnus University, and present together with Ilona, who is here, the study on start opportunities for childless for first 1,000 days. Yeah, please.
Yeah, do you hear me well? I hope so.
Yes.
Sorry, it's not working. Cannot change. Yeah. So you already present me and Professor Ilona Tamutienė. So today we are here to talk about the state's role and about the state's roles in ensuring equal start opportunities during first 1,000 days priority in Lithuania. And we are going to cover these topics. First of all, who among the whole community is advocating for the protection of the first 1,000 days, what is the state's and NGO's role of protecting mothers who raise children up to 2 years of age in Lithuania, and thirdly, we present future prospects and conclusions. So, moving on to the international organizations such as the World Health Organization, the World Bank Organization, UNICEF, these organizations combined research in this area and revealed the importance of this sensitive period on a global scale, and initiated the creation of political agenda. The findings of our study indicate that despite the long-standing international interest in this field, little focus placed on the first 1,000 days in Lithuania. So let me continue with our research. In 2022, we conducted a study with Professor Ilona Tamutienė, which aimed at investigate the support and services are accessible for pregnant women and children under 2 years of age in Lithuania. 18 semi-structured interviews were conducted, of which 9 with specialists, healthcare professionals, child protection and welfare specialists, and NGO representatives, and another 9 interviews with mothers who raise children up to 2 years of age. As you can see on the slide, the research participants were from 4 different Lithuanian cities. So turning to the next part, the results of our study revealed that there are many issues to be resolved in this area. which are related to the lack of services and support for families raising children up to 2 years of age in Lithuania. Certain services, like emotional support, are inadequate for all families, while other services are limited to disadvantaged families. For example, housing issues. So if you take a look at the slide, mothers face different challenges that include housing issues. In addition, low-income mothers face a real challenge to rent a house with their income. Often we can only rent a room in shared accommodation, which can be unsafe. So, I'm sorry. If you take a look, now I would like to expand our point about the housing issues. This transcript of interview shows that there are protracted lines to obtain social housing. Additionally, the housing is of poor quality and does not satisfy the needs of particular family. In our opinion, me and Professor, I have in mind it would be very useful, and also our opinion based on our findings, leasing could help in resolving housing-related issues. Turning to the next challenge related to support and services for mothers raising children under 2 years of age, we would like to say that the state does not ensure the quality nutrition for the smallest citizens. Because the state just supports food only when the child starts attending kindergarten. Moreover, NGO do supply food, but it is insufficient for children under 2 years of age. So, according to our study, we recommended firstly to consider options for ensuring adequate nutrition for pregnant women and children up to 2 years of age. Secondly, providing specialized food for infants through the State Sickness Fund or the European Union Child Guarantee System. And thirdly, to strengthen the position and professionalism of breastfeeding specialists in health care institutions. So, moving on to the next challenge, if you take a look at the slide, child care benefit and other benefits are increased in Lithuania, but still insufficient for disadvantaged social groups. Poverty, as you can see in the slide, this transcript of interview illustrates that poverty touches working and educated mothers. This presents a new phase of poverty and linked to insufficient parental actions. As you can see in the picture, the study findings indicate that it is necessary to significantly increase benefits and allowance. An additional allowance should be provided for children up to 1 or 2 years of age. Also, turning to the next challenge related to being protected from violence, our data showed that healthcare professionals in institutions do not have necessary training or protocols in place to deal with victims of violence. Nevertheless, NGO provide help and support to women who have experienced violence, and this help was extremely useful. As you can see in this interview fragment, the same issues arises when medical professionals fail to recognize and assist victims of different forms of violence. In addition, inadequate attention to mental health is provided in Lithuania. There is a lack of attention to the emotional health of mothers who are pregnant, have given birth, and are raising children, and also their children were lacking of emotional concentrated to the emotional health. NGO provides care for these groups, emotional well-being, try to strengthen emotional well-being, which research participants found to be very favorable. Based on our findings, we recommended that healthcare providers must be equipped with knowledge, first of all, and then skills necessary to identify issues related to poor emotional health. It is also recommended to strengthen and expand the NGO and provide them financial support, because we did a great job in strengthening emotional health and recognizing violence. Last but not least, a big systemic gap, lack of support in restoring a woman's health after childbirth and help in feeding and caring for a child exists in Lithuania. In order to solve this problem, to tackle this problem, Lithuania is implementing pilot project and testing home visitation early intervention model, which aimed at to provide early intervention for expectant families until the child reaches 2 years old. The Professor Ilona Tamutienė was mentioned about this project before. So I would like to end with a summary of the main points. Policy of the first 1,000 days of a child's life, unfortunately, is ineffective in Lithuania because of lacking of various services needed. Furthermore, quality of services sometimes is not up to standard. In addition, some services are difficult to get access to. So I'm finished. I hope I am on the time, and thank you for your attention. It would be very interesting to hear your comments, and maybe I and Professor Ilona Tamutienė can answer your questions. So thank you.
Thank you very much. So we have about 10 minutes for questions. So please, do you have a question to Vera about fertility indicators? Or Vaida from auditorium. Yep.
Hello. So thank you very much both for interesting presentation. I would like just to ask about this trends of that you extrapolate into the future, analyzing the 50 years of history in Latvia. We all know that our region went through a turbulent and unique probably transition, which would never ever hopefully repeat itself. So the 90s, yes, and transition from the Soviet era, and it reflects in the data. So don't you think it's problematic actually to build any statistical model, if it's even if it's statistically kind of sound, but just because of the period that of this 50 years, that it's just very problematic to extrapolate it into the future. Yeah, that's the question. Thank you.
Thank you for your great question. I just would like to end my presentation with the results of research of Alina Norgilaitė from the Lithuanian Social Research Center, which mentioned that in instability periods, economical, political, or geopolitical, if family wants to have children, if has a strong desire, they will have children. Even in such COVID and war periods, it is not the barrier for having children. And even our period of 50 years too showed that all these cataclysms broken down USSR and other cataclysms, they don't change this demographic cyclical trend. But these changes of value, they really have very long-term impacts. But all political and economic events, of course, they have short impact. Now, COVID and war impact go in accord to the recession. Now we have recession declining infertility trend. And these social and political and economic and medical events, they are inside this trend. That is why we cannot see so much this impact, because anyhow we have recession now. But of course, recession will continue till the zero. It will be growth. Anyhow, if will be awful war, it will be short-term decline. But anyhow, the growth will be not so rapid and so big, because the common general trend is declining. But anyhow, values at the first place, I'm sure, and research show this too. Any other studies? Lithuanians also have a very big contribution in this topic. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to add that we have also such a kind of explanation that in the recession period, people, when we feel unsafe, we postpone their procreation plans, and the increase is because of this postponement, but not because of changing values. On the other hand, in this childlessness research, we also find out that these very conscious statements that you don't want to have children are quite exceptional. Much more often people end without children because of circumstances. So this happening of not having children is much more often influenced by different circumstances, life circle, and so on, and when it is postponed to the older age. And my question would be, have you calculated the number of this demographic indicator number of reproductive women? Because the last discussion on our television was that we cannot increase the number of reproductive age women. That's why our fertility rate can increase very much, and immigration is also not calculated as we want to increase our population. So what about this indicator, as it is decreasing as well?
I'm sure it's also decreasing, but we took for our research just fertility rate per women. Because of course this indicator in Latvia is too decreasing in migration and the same processes as in Lithuania, but we took only this average per woman.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a short question? Because we are ending our session. To Vaida or to Vera? Not. So thank you very much, and you can stay online. If you wish, we will have a summary of or closing of the conference, I think in this channel. So after a short break of 5 minutes, we will come back with closing remarks. So thank you for participating, and yeah, let's keep in touch.
Thank you for inviting.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.